If you use a blanket to prop yourself up, you can sit kind of on the edge of it so that it tilts you kind of forward so that your butt is almost falling off of the blanket. If you don't have one, it's not a big deal. It helps to open up through the hips area and give a little bit of extra support to the knees. So whatever kind of seat feels really good for you today. So today is morning flow with meditation. For people who have not come to this class before, we do some really gentle yoga to begin, and then we wrap it up starting around 8:30. We wrap it up with a meditation that kind of fills out the rest of the class. So whatever, if you can't stay the whole time, don't worry about it. And do what you can. Don't worry about the rest. So finding your seat, either up on a blanket or not, or up in a block if that feels good. And just let your breath kind of happen to begin with here. Maybe allow the eyes to close. Hands are on your knees. Starting to work into your breath here. And instead of thinking about, I am breathing, which we sometimes do, right? Just observe the pattern of breath. Try not to assign any words to it. And I know as soon as I said that, all of a sudden, like, there's all these words in your brain, but just let them kind of melt away and focus on the breath and allowing yourself to be present here. And as we work into this breath, maybe not so much focusing on forcing the breath down and in, but maybe thinking more of the body as a place for the air to sink in and hold, for the breath to fill more passively. And we'll take one more round just sitting with this breath. And then go ahead and allow your eyes to blink open if they're not already. And then as we work through our practice, coming back to your breath as often as possible to just see where you're at. Left hand is coming down to the mat. If you are there already this morning, you might come all the way down onto the forearm. I am not there yet. So let's reach the left hand nice and long and sweep the right arm up and over. Now I'm mirroring you, so if you want to go the other way, you go right ahead. I'm not responsible for your left and right. So reaching super long, creating some space. If you hung out with me yesterday, you did a little bit of obliques, and this might feel really good. And then I want you to open up and look underneath that upper arm. Look up towards your ceiling. Now, keeping this kind of leaning somewhat backwards, sweep that top hand around and find the floor maybe and lean back, lifting through the heart. So it takes a bit of confidence that you're going to find the floor there. Nice. And then still from this angle, because we're going around in a circle in case you haven't figured it out, you're going to reach that left arm up towards the sky, find the length, and then fold down, bring that, it's my left hand, it was the opposite hand, down over to the edge of the knee. So we're just creating this little circular motion. And then sweeping both hands, walking them forward and melting down. Inhale, walk the hands back, switch the orientation of your feet so that the opposite one is on top or in front, and we're going to go the other way. So the right hand comes down, left arm reaches up and over. And again, if you're all the way down to the mat already, that's perfect. If not, you can start to walk your hands nice and long. And then peel open that upper shoulder and elbow. Next, exhale, drop that top hand back and open up the heart. So now you're at an angle here. Peel the shoulders away from the heart, lift up towards the sky. And then start to lean into that left hand as the right arm comes up and over. And then right hand comes down. So you want to really root down through this far hip. So the right hip for me, it's pushing down towards the mat. Head is heavy. And then walk both hands forward, melt down over the legs. All right, go ahead, and if you're on a blanket, you can come off of it if you like. We're going to find our way to a nice Janu Sirsasana, so a half of a straddle split. Your left leg is going nice and long. Draw the toes back towards you. The right foot comes right into the inseam. Turn towards the left leg and melt down over the leg. Drop the head. If you want to reach for the feet, it's not required to grab the feet here. As a matter of fact, if that creates a lot of stress, if your breath becomes really choppy, then back off out of it. But if it enhances your shape, go ahead and use your hands to apply just a little bit more here. Now, kind of the same thing that we did before, we're going to start to work around this shape. So bringing that same hand as leg into the inseam. Now, if you're not there, you can ride this a little bit higher. You can just bring your elbow to the thigh. If you are more flexible than me in this shape, you might grab the foot here. Wherever you're going, just bring that bottom hand down and sweep that top arm up. Now, if you're really tight, this is enough. You don't need anything else here. If you have it in your practice, again, if you are more open, you might start to reach overhead, and some of you might actually reach your toes. I've been doing yoga for 3 decades and I still can't reach my toes. Just saying. Beautiful. All right, bring that top hand down to the mat. Reach this upper hand up and over, and then come back through center. We're going to find a straddle split here. So we're doing everything kind of in a circle this morning. Straddle split is very individual. Again, your straddle split might not be anything like my straddle split. It might be much more narrow. It might be much more wide. The important thing is that your toes are peeling off the mat and towards your face. You can even spread them nice and wide if you like. And then from here, we're keeping a flat back on this one. So root down through your sit bones, lift through the crown of your head and start to hinge. You'll feel when you can't go anymore. For me, this is it right here. I can bring my hands behind me and I can apply a little bit of pressure to really open up through the inner groins here. Or I can just let gravity do the work. It kind of just depends on what you need from your practice today. And again, if you can lay all the way down on the floor, that's awesome. It's not required in this pose. In some ways, being more flexible just means that you have to work a little bit harder to get into the same kind of stretch. That's all. Good. One more breath. Think about creating that length from the spine, and then exhale and fold down towards the middle. Use your hands to help you. Taking Janu Sirsasana to the other side. So the exact same thing, we're bringing that sole of the left foot into the inseam. Turn and look and fold down over that right leg. Or left if you're going the other way. So as I leave space in these poses, and you're tempted to start to drift along to your to-do list or your shopping list or whatever you've got going on, just draw yourself back and be okay with space. And I'm going to try to be okay with giving you the space. Let's start to move this shape. So bring that same elbow as leg, either comes down to the inside or maybe onto the leg. And then that top arm reaches up. You might, again, grab that foot if that works for you. If you need it, you can anchor that arm underneath the calf. That is not something that works for me. And then reach long overhead. So the whole idea here is to open up through the ribs, stretching out those intercostals. Again, if you did that oblique work with me yesterday, this might be a little tender. Ease back out of it. Nice. And then sweep that left hand to the mat and reach the right hand long. And reach out. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and find some movement here. Coming to your tabletop. So hands and knees. I'm feeling super stretchy now. Hands and knees, but your hands are going to be a little bit wider than your shoulders because we're going to move dynamically through this. So push your hands into the mat, round through the back, take that cat shape, and then slide the shoulders over, the shoulders over and past, kind of aiming for the right fingertips. And then as you find your cow shape, you drop the belly, you sweep around towards the left arm, and then come back through center, and you're in a neutral spine. So cat over to the right, exhaling. As you start to inhale, slide over towards the left and lift up through, and then back through center is neutral. We're going to do a couple more of those just so you can get the hang of it. So move with your breath. So you're moving around a circle. So the face of the clock is on your mat, and you're tracing around that clock as you move through your cat-cow. So it takes a little bit. And then on this next round, as you come back to neutral in the center, let's go the other way. So you take that cat shape over towards the left, draw into that cow, and find your way to the neutral as you scoop around and through. So part of the magic of these movements today is to get you out of your mind, right? Get you focused on what's going on in your body and let everything else just kind of melt away. All right, let's find our way to our tabletop shape. Zip up your belly, press the palms into the mat. Walk the right hand underneath your, a little bit towards the midline, so underneath your nose, and then step the left foot out. It'll come off of your mat slightly. From here, left arm reaches up and open up. Again, this is a much gentle version of something we did yesterday, so you might be feeling this. Let's reach underneath and come down onto the shoulder. So if you have to peel the foot up or slide it out or do something here to get this down, and then that right arm is going overhead. Walk the right hand back, come all the way up. So now you're in kind of a modified gate pose, which looks like this. There we go. And we're going to bring the left hand down, reach over with the right, and then sweep that right hand down, float the left leg off the mat, and the left hand overhead. Nice. Flex through that foot and push. We're going to flow through that 2 times. Inhale, drop the foot, sweep all the way up and over. Exhale, right hand comes down, reach long, overhead. Inhale all the way up. Very good. Exhale, reaching overhead. This time we hold. All right, if you want a little bit more out of this practice, you know I like to offer levels. Bend that top foot, sweep that top arm around, grab onto the toes, the ankle, the heel, and maybe take a modified dancer shape. Beautiful. Come all the way back to our tabletop, and let's go to the other side. So the left hand, my blanket, left hand comes underneath the shoulder, the right leg reaches out to the side, sweep the right arm up and open, and then scoop underneath, come down for a landing on that shoulder. Now, if that's too far, your block comes in handy to catch your head or your blanket. And then reach that left arm up overhead so you're looking down underneath that extended arm. Walk the left hand back, sweep all the way up with that left arm, or right arm, left hand comes down, you're reaching overhead, maybe floating that right foot. Let me spin so you can see. Flex through the foot, spread the toes nice and wide, and let's flow. Use that hand to draw you all the way up. So inhale up and over, reaching towards the opposite leg. And then exhale, coming down. So this is also balance. I always think of, when I think of doing yoga on carpet, I think of like that old shag carpet, like my mother-in-law has. And then reach, that they haven't sold since like the 60s. And then up and over. We're going to hold on this one. It's like yoga and way too much of Tammy's personal life every day. Flex through your foot, reach long with your hand, and hold this shape. And again, if you want more, you don't have to take the more. It's just there in case maybe you're sitting here going, man, I wish she would give me something else to do. Reach around and grab onto that back foot. Maybe this one isn't going to work so well. And open up. Perfect. Without becoming a slingshot, go ahead and release that. Let's come back to our tabletop shape and just reset with a couple just regular cat-cow shapes. So finding your cat and finding your cow. Nice. All right, we're going to get a little bit more into the legs here. So let's go ahead and reach that right leg long behind you. Curl the toes under and push into the heel. So this should feel really good on your calves. So stretching out, if you've done a lot of walking or anything lately, this should feel pretty good. Nice, then go ahead and lift that up. Draw that right knee in towards your right arm and step outside of the right hand. Sliding your left knee back a little bit and then peeling open. You know, I love this shape. Peeling open with that right foot. Maybe using the hand to press into the right knee. Maybe release that foot down. Again, if you're looking for more, you're going to sweep that arm back and look out over the right shoulder. If you want more again, grab onto that foot. If you've done any kind of hiking or running, this feels a little intense. So if you want to come back, you can. If you want to come back here, you can. Nice. All right, we're going to go ahead and heel toe this front foot to the middle of the mat and come up onto the toes of the left foot and just rock back and forth slightly, getting into this shape. And then slide that left foot forward about maybe half a foot, straighten the right leg and fold over that leg. So make sure your hips are even. Your right hip is going to want to slide back to make room. Keep pulling it forward, push into the left heel. So if the heel comes down, that's awesome. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Melt over the leg. Go ahead and bend into that knee, plant the hands, come back down onto the left knee, and then step right foot back to meet the left. And we'll take a couple side to side cat cows here, just a little side to side movement. Some traditional cat cows. All right, left leg, right knee is underneath the hip, left leg reaches out nice and long, push into the heel, stretching out through the calves. Calf. Use your hands to push away. And then float that left leg off the mat. Draw the knee in towards the elbow, the shoulder, anything you can reach, and then plant that foot down. So that's like sneaky core. Slide that right leg back, and then peel that left leg open. So you can see that it's definitely a twist through the torso. I'm looking back towards the back of the mat. Maybe that left arm reaches. Make sure this right shoulder stays nice and firm. You don't want to dump into that. Maybe grab on. Don't grab on if it doesn't feel right. Releasing. Coming back through center. Peel the back knee off and slide. Heel toe that front foot into the midline. And then go ahead and rock forward and back here. Using your fingers and your blocks, if you need to, you can lift up off of the hands here and slide that back foot in so much so that you can straighten that front leg. So again, hips are square. Lift the belly off the thighs and then melt down over the leg. Heels come down. Don't worry about thinking about your breath. Just let it go. Let it happen. Bend into the knee, plant the hands, and then place right knee down. Step back with the left knee and take a few cat cows here. So just a nice little cat shape, nice little cow shape, or reverse that. And then knees come nice and wide, toes touch, sink back all the way into the hips. We haven't done a restorative child's pose in a while. So knees are nice and wide. So they're as wide as your mat. If you have a bolster handy, which I don't think anybody does, but if you have a bolster handy, you can fall down over it. If you don't, you can use your block and you can bring your forehead down onto your block here. If you're using a pillow, that works actually a little bit better, or a blanket. If you don't have any of those props, you're just going to make that diamond shape with your fingers and place your forehead inside that diamond shape. If you're doing this at home with dogs or children, this is the perfect jungle gym pose. So just try to block that out. Maybe just observing what happens in your environment. Just observing your breath, not worrying about making it something. Don't judge. Try not to scan your body looking for things to be critical of. Just notice. Yep, I'm tense. Okay, that hurts. Or whatever you find. You don't have to worry about where it came from or how it happened or what you're going to do to fix it. Yoga teaches us to endure what we cannot cure and cure that which cannot be endured. Iyengar said that. Let's start to move out of this shape. So using your hands to push you up off the mat and then sliding the legs back together, we're just going to counterpose that with a gentle camel shape. So again, if you have a block handy, great. If you have a coffee table, that works really well. If you don't need props and you know you don't need props, that's okay too. So I am going to show you how it looks with a block. I'm taking my block in between my heels and then squeezing my legs into the block. Hands come to the belly to begin with. And then slide the shoulders back as you wrap the arms around. So now you're starting to squeeze the arms together. From here, you're going to gently apply pressure as you push into the butt, squeeze through the glutes. So the whole butt, squeeze into that, and then push forward through the hips. So that's going to create a little bitty back bend. So it's not a lean. We're not going back like that. Oh, that didn't feel good. We're going to lean over our hands on the back. Most of us are going to stay here. This is enough. It's a back bend and it's a stretch through the front. If you want a little bit more, you're going to reach down until you find your block, either one or two of them, and bring your fingertips to that block. If you don't have a block, you can come all the way down to your heels, or you can stay up nice and high. Keep leading with the heart. You're lifting through your heart here, so your sternum, your breastbone is reaching like there's a string coming up to the ceiling. To come out of it, bring your hands or one hand to your belly. Apply a little bit of pressure to come back up straight. Nice. And then move the block out of the way, but keep it handy. We're coming all the way down onto our backs. All right, last pose before we work into some meditation here. If you have your block or your pillow or whatever it is, we're coming into a supported bridge. So your feet are hip width, toes point towards the top of the mat, hips or heels are even with your hips, and then you're just going to lift up. So slide anything you have, a pillow, a blanket, a towel, a block. You just want to be supported and get the hips up off the ground. If you want a stronger practice this morning, if this really restorative flow isn't really working for you and you want more, you can do a full bridge here. I love this shape because inversions are really great to help you see the world from a different perspective. And maybe seeing the world from a different perspective is more about starting with where you are in your body. Anytime you get the hips up over the heart, it reverses the flow of energy and prana and blood. You should invert every single day. Go ahead and close the eyes here if they're not already. If you can, if you have the space, you might reach your arms down and just rest them underneath, maybe wrapping them around the block if you can. Maybe just letting them rest by your side. And again, bending the elbows and letting the hands rest on the belly is a good option. If you need to stretch out the front body more, you can always slide the legs long down the mat. We're going to be here for about 20 more rounds of breath. So it's about 2 minutes. So if it helps you to find space, you can count the breath. If you're able to let everything melt away, that would be great too. We're just about halfway through. If your feet aren't already underneath your knees, go ahead and walk them back. And the next time you come to an inhale, lift the hips up off your prop, whatever it is, and then lower them to the mat. Taking some meaningful movement here, maybe a little windshield wiper side to side, or perhaps pulling knees in towards the heart space, giving yourself a nice big hug, whatever it might be. And then we're going to move into a shape for your meditation practice today. It might be Shavasana, so you might want to extend your legs long down the mat. So in general, I'm not a real fan of the Shavasana meditation, but if you feel like that's where you're going to find the most peaceful shape, go ahead and take it. If instead you want to come back into your Sukhasana or your easy pose, certainly find your way there. So I want you to find a shape that is going to give you ease for quite a few moments. If you're in your Shavasana, letting everything melt into the mat. If you're up on your prop, maybe your blanket or your block, maybe just sitting. Take a few moments to settle into your new shape. So again, observing without any kind of judgment or story. It's just you in this shape. So for our meditation today, we're going to do some guided breath work and allow all the other thoughts, all the other everything to drift away as we move through this practice. As you start to get going, you'll notice that things are going to trickle in. Just let them melt away. Don't give them any extra attention. When you give thoughts attention, they tend to stick around. So begin by feeling yourself rooted, feeling the parts of you that are supported by the floor, your mat. Feel the pressure there. Feel the expansion of the lungs as you breathe in. The ribs begin to expand. The heart will lift. As you exhale, everything melts. The pressure on the mat becomes greater. The body, the torso compresses. We'll take about 4 rounds here just to observe the breath before we do any technique. With your next inhale, inhale to a count of 4. So counting to yourself here, just in, or maybe you don't have to, you're alone. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to hold at the top of that breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale out. 3, 2, 1, and again hold. 3, 2, 1. Now envision a box as you inhale to that count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold coming across. 2, 3, 4. And then exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold across the bottom. 2, 1. Keep going, inhaling on your own count. Hold at the top. And then exhale. Every breath, and then hold. Every hold is uniform. Lifting up, breathing in, holding at the top, exhaling down. Final hold. So now as you move around your box with your breath, start to make that box bigger by increasing the count by 1. That means counting to inhale at 5, holding for 5, exhaling for 5, holding for 5. As you work around your box breath, if you notice that you're becoming lightheaded, just back off, go down, create a smaller box. If you have the space and the capacity, you can create a bigger box as you move through this breath. Increasing by 1 count. Working to maintain that consistency. We're going to move one more time around your breath, your box. So take 1 complete circuit. Now just allow your breath to breathe you. No technique, no control. Stay present with your breath. Try not to drift. Observing any sensations that come to pass. Beginning to become more aware of your surroundings. Start to let the sounds around you trickle into your awareness. Noticing if there are feelings of light through a window, warmth of the sunshine, sounds of people moving about the house. The smells associated with breakfast or coffee, whatever might be happening. Beginning to take some gentle movement through the head and neck, starting with some gentle neck rolls, anything that feels logical to you here. So maybe working around a nice wide neck circle. Moving slowly with intention. Going back the other direction. Finding neutral with the head, stacking on the shoulders, drawing the shoulders up towards the ears, and then pushing back open. So creating a nice big circle with the shoulders. Letting your arms become part of the circle. Going back the opposite direction. Tucking your chin in towards your collarbone, draw your arms around behind you, either taking reverse prayer behind you or grabbing onto opposite elbows. Inhale the chin back to neutral. Release the arms around the front. Right arm sweeps under left, taking your eagle arms, either wrapping, taking the double wrap, or just grabbing onto the backs or even grabbing onto shoulders. Maybe lifting your chin, letting your head fall back. Open up as you feel the separation between the collarbones there. Exhale, tuck the chin one more time, reach the arms around, grab opposite elbows yet again. And then come back through center, sweeping left arm underneath right this time, taking that eagle arms to the other side. Releasing the arms, shaking them out, bringing hands to heart center, perhaps bowing the head if you choose. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. Have a sunshine-filled day. Namaste, yogis.